from your origin is from an Arab country?
From Haifa.
From Haifa.
Haifa. I was born in Haifa. My family comes from Syria, from Aleppo. And I was born in Haifa. I grew up in Haifa. And then I went to Canada as a young man, studied architecture there, and started my practice there. And then moved to Boston to join the Harvard Design School in 1978. And since then, that's been my base, my professional base.
And
Coming to Mexico for a long time. My first trip here was in 1959. And 25 years ago, we joined a group in Puerto Escondido. We have a house here. So we come to Mexico a lot.
you like Mexico?
I love Mexico. I feel completely at home, except I never mastered the language. I'm embarrassed about that.
And have you been in Syria or in any Arab country?
I built in Israel. I never built in Syria. I only was in Syria once as a child, but I built a lot in Israel, and now I build all over the world. I'm building in Brazil, in Colombia, in Quito, also in China, Singapore, Israel. So my work is very spread around.
And here in Mexico, we have a community from Aleppo. It's called Magen David, a Jewish community from Aleppo.
I did the school for them 40 years ago. The Magen David school, I designed for them long time ago.
My kids were in Magen David school.
Yeah, okay. So I did the old building I did many years ago. And I was always impressed. It was only for Aleppo, not even for Damascus, just Aleppo.
And do you still keep the traditions of Aleppo at home?
Well, we are selective about it. For example, my mother has passed on all the Aleppo cooking. Our daughters wrote a cookbook, made a video. My wife, who is Ashkenazi, has learned all the Aleppo dishes. She cooks them. Yeah.
All the Aleppo. Yes, I'm Ashkenazi, but I learned from Moshe's mother, and we do all the kusa machshi, and yes, we do yachshi, yeah.
Very nice.
The whole thing. So we keep the traditions, we keep the holidays, we do the seder. I mean, in that sense, we absolutely do, yes.
And well, it's an honor for the Jews to have you as a Jew in the world, because you are an icon of architecture. And how did you start with architecture? Well, did you like it from when you were a child?
Well, when I was in Israel, I wanted to be on a kibbutz, to be a farmer. I was going to study agriculture.
You wanted to be a farmer? What a great loss for humanity.
and then I went to Canada, and farming didn't make sense in Canada. And in high school, I did a test, an aptitude test, and it said, good in math, good in art, suitable for architecture. So I said, let me try it. I knew nothing about architecture. And as soon as I arrived at the School of Architecture, I knew it's my love. It's been a wonderful journey.
And how was the road to where you are now?
I had a very, very lucky fairy tale career at the beginning of my career. I had done a thesis at university about a new concept for housing. And then there was the World Fair in Montreal, and I was asked to work on the master plan. And I proposed my thesis to be built, and it was approved. And so when I was 25, I built my most famous building.
What is the most important moment of your career? What do you consider to be the most important moment?
It's one moment, but certainly building Habitat in Montreal. I think designing the Holocaust Museum, Yad Vashem in Jerusalem, was a very big challenge, and I felt that I had a responsibility to the Jewish people, that this would be one of the most important buildings for Jews. And So there are those projects which stand out in your career that you know they have a role bigger than your own life.
And what was the challenge for Yad Vashem for this?
You know, Yad Vashem is not a museum. It's a place to tell one of the most terrible stories in history. And the architecture and the narrative, the exhibition, must be one experience. And the challenge was to make the architecture and the storytelling one. But the biggest challenge was how to end it. I felt it should end with some optimism, that life prevailed, we prevailed, we are here in Israel, we have made our own state. And so at Yad Vashem you come to the light and to the view of the forest. And that was my contribution to not to end up with down, but to end up with up. Even though it was a terrible story, of course, I mean.
And it is amazing that they would ask Safdie to do the Holocaust Museum, no? How did you feel?
You're Sephardic and not Ashkenazi.
This was interesting because I didn't suffer immediately, but I knew so much about it. My first wife was a Holocaust survivor from Poland. Michal is a daughter of a Holocaust survivor. Her mother was a survivor from the camps. So I really knew a lot about it and experienced it, but not directly, of course. So there was a somewhat unusual thing that the Sephardic did the Holocaust Museum.
And how did you meet?
We met in Jerusalem. Michal was coming out of the army. She was a lieutenant in the army, and I was working there, and we met 44 years ago.
44. Mazal tov.
Toda.
How is it to be the wife of Moshe Safdie?
It's a very interesting and wonderful life. Not only professionally, but living with such a wonderful human being.
What do you do?
I'm a photographer myself, and actually I just came out with a book last month on photographs from my window, and the book is called Under My Window, and this is under my window in Jerusalem, right in the Jewish quarter on the border of the Muslim quarter, and there's a little alley that passes under our house, but the whole world passes there, and it faces the Wailing Wall, the Western Wall, and the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa. So it's a crucial point for many religions there, and of course also tension between Palestinian and Israeli. So living their normal daily life, but also worshipping. And I tried to show all the different layers of the city there from one vantage point.
Where can we get this book?
Well, the easiest way is through Amazon. It's called Under My Window. And it comes in two sizes. It comes in a large size, a limited edition, and in a smaller one as well.
How long have you been working for this book?
I worked on it for about 4 years, but I also have photographs that I photographed over the many years of living in the house. So it's a large span of years.
Where did you learn Arabic?
في البيت. في البيت. I heard أهلي أبي الفاميليا.
What is your best dish, Arabic dish?
مقلوبة مقلوبة مقلوبة.
You know, upside down.
رز باذنجان خروف, and then you turn it over.
And which one is yours?
I love the kusa mahshi with dried apricots. Mishmish, because it's sweet and sour also. Yeah.
Do you also cook Ashkenazi dishes?
Yes, I cook everything. I cook French, Chinese, Italian.
But the good thing is that
We both cook.
you cook.
He's also a very good cook, yeah.
I could.
What do you like to cook?
I like to roast, to grill, big fish, meat, but I do different things. I make some good desserts.
He makes the best salad dressing.
And what desserts do you like?
What?
What dessert?
I make a dessert with a lot of fresh fruit, peaches, apricots, and I cook them with the orange juice and a little cognac, and then I put ice cream on it. Very good.
Sounds good.
You should come over. We will make it.
Thank you. Where do you live?
In
Cambridge,
Cambridge.
Boston.
Ah, in Cambridge. Yes. Maybe someday.
Tfadali.